hosting
Georgia Richards.
Yes, and I'm so delighted to have her here with us. As you know, with the Vision Challenge and Impact Educators podcast, we believe in amplifying the voices of those individuals who are doing amazing work in the realm of education as well as faith. And tonight we have here with us Georgia Richards. As she said, I'm going to pause right here and give her an opportunity to tell you a little bit about herself.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Coons, for having me on your program. It is a true honor to be here. Thank you also, Mrs. Harris, for sharing this opportunity with me. Hello, viewers and listeners. My name is Georgia Richards, and my superpower is I teach. I am a passionate educator from the beautiful island of Jamaica. I've been teaching English language and literature for the past 5 years. I like to consider myself as an extroverted introvert who loves family and all things growth. Laughter is my medicine, and I think my God-given purpose is to help my students and people who I interact with to become the absolute best versions of themselves.
And let me tell you, you do an amazing job of doing absolutely that. I remember going over to her school and doing professional learning, and she's one of those faces when you see her, she's unforgettable. And so it's just a delight to have you in the studio today to be able to share this information. So let's start with your educational journey. Tell us about that.
Sure. So my teaching journey began 5 years ago, like I said earlier. I started with early childhood education, and then I moved to high school where I taught high school language and literature. I have been teaching in Jamaica, and then I moved to the U.S. 3 years ago, and I have been teaching middle school English language. Before I went into teaching, I was working in customer service for 7 years.
Wow. Yes. So you brought those customer service skills into education,
right.
Used them in the realm of education with your peers as well as the students. Not only that, with the parents, and you've gotten profound results. And
yes.
So we're thankful that you came here.
Yes.
So talk to us about, you said your superpower is teaching. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about those teaching strategies that you use with students, even our reluctant learners, the high-end students, the students who are on average just, I don't really want to be here, don't know if I want to be here, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're in between. Talk to us about how you meet the needs of all of those learners.
Sure. I think fortunately for me, having taught in Jamaica and the U.S., I have gotten first-hand experience of the struggles that students are facing that goes beyond academics. So as a teacher, I aim to build trust, as I believe that once an educator builds trust, then that puts you in a better position to support the holistic development of your students. So through building trust, I can get them to do anything that I want them to do, basically. And not only building relationship, but they see the passion that I have for teaching, and I think that passes on to them, and I get the same results from them.
So you mentioned passion for teaching. Mm-hmm. Where do you get that? I mean, you're here. You don't have a whole bunch of family around. You're enjoying Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
In Macon, Georgia.
In Georgia.
That's right, Georgia in Georgia. But in reality, you don't have anyone pumping you up to be motivated to go and do this. You have a clear passion for the students here in America, and students, namely students who are considered at risk,
yes,
who are urban students. Tell us about that. How do you maintain your passion for something like that? It's not like you're going home to your mom and saying, Mom, this is what's going on, and she's able to console you. You have to go and face every day yourself, your reflections, your students. How do you maintain that passion?
Sure, I love that question. So, like I said earlier, I try to reach those students who are struggling learners. Well, I wasn't a struggling learner academically. I've always done well academically, but I had my own struggles. And I think that has caused me to be drawn to students who are struggling learners. So whenever it is that I feel discouraged, I try to remember my why, which is to inspire, motivate, to be that support for those students who are in need. I love working with students who are underserved or in communities that are under-resourced. That brings me back to my why and keeps me grounded.
That's awesome. Knowing your why helps you help them develop their why in the midst of everything that's going on in their lives. And also, like you said, you may not have their exact struggle, but you can empathize with what's going on in their lives, because we all have struggles, right?
That's correct.
And so you're able to encourage them and inspire them to go through different situations instead of being stuck. So that's powerful. You also talked about building trust and relationships. So many individuals have a difficult time building trust and relationships with students. What specifically do you do to build trust and relationships?
Sure. So I get to know them. I try to find out what they're interested in. I'm that teacher who is at all the games. So I go to all the basketball games, even those games I don't understand. Being from Jamaica, I don't understand all the sports here.
Yes.
But whenever I go and they see me in the crowd, they're like, "What you doing here?" But they really appreciate it, and then I build that relationship with them. I build relationship with my parents as well. So whenever I'm having an issue with the students, I can reach out to the parents because I've already established that relationship with them as well.
Yes. You know, I always say we complain about parents going to the games, but they won't come to the conferences. They'll come to the parent conference for someone like you because they've seen you at that ball game.
Yes.
They know that you truly care about their child, right? Their children. And so to that end, I always encourage people, just show up.
Yes.
Every now and then, you know? Yes, just show up. And so once they know that you care, I think it was Maya Angelou who said, you know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And that's so true. So with adults and children, you know? And so thank you for taking the time, not that you had all that time.
I
to
did not.
spare, right? But you took the time. It was important enough for you to build those relationships that you took the time to take some of your time to go and spend time with their families so that you can build the trust. So that's so powerful. And you did it based on their interests. You didn't try to force them to be interested in things you're interested in. So thank you for doing that. Talk to us about specific academic strategies that you use in order to help children who are struggling.
Okay, sure. So as an English language arts teacher, I do a lot of modeling. So I'm never going to ask my students to do something that I don't model. So in modeling whatever we're teaching, I am reading aloud, I'm thinking aloud, I'm using the guided reading strategies, I'm using small groups, I'm asking them for feedback as well. Guys, what did you like about the lesson? What could I have done differently? I'm not one who believes that children should be seen and not heard. I want to hear from my students, because if I don't know how I can help them, then I can't help them.
That's so good. If I don't know how I'm supposed to help them, I can't help them. It's like going to the doctor and we're expecting them to just know what's going on with us, right? Without talking. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And so you take that same concept and you place it into education with your students, and you allow them to have a voice first. And so that's so powerful. Thank you for doing that. You said something about feedback. Now, I always say this generation, they are doctors. They can go on Google and find anything. You know, we only had, what is it, MedWeb or whatever it was, WebMD or something like that. That's the only place we can go. They have chat, all types of AI now. You know, where'd you get that information from? Chat GPT? What?
Chat GPT.
My recipes, my healing, my medicine, you know, all that kind of stuff. But silly, I'm being silly, but seriously, they rely on technology, right?
They do.
But you allowed them to give you feedback.
Yes, I do.
And you don't take it personally if they didn't like your little lesson, right? You know, some of us get so upset if the kids say one little thing about our little lesson. And so you take that feedback. What kinds of feedback have you received from the students that has helped you, you know, improve your lessons and make sure that it's connecting with them?
Okay, sure. So since my customer service experience, I've learned Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. So I don't take what they're saying personally. I just want to know how I can help you to grow. So the main feedback, that I'm given is that they are enjoying the lessons. If they do give negative feedback, they'd say things like they don't want to read aloud, but I'm like, okay, but you have to learn. This is how you're going to grow. You learn or you grow by doing it.
Yes.
So the more that you do it, the better you will become. But they also tell me I don't like that lesson because it was too long, or I think we could have done it in groups instead of doing it like whole class. And I'll try to work around their feedback to make the lessons more enticing for them.
Oh, that is so good. I love Q-tip. Gotta use that one. I like that. The other part is, although they may say something like, I don't want to read aloud, you know that the only way that you will know how to help them is to hear them read. I'm baffled by those individuals who don't require children to read aloud.
Right.
We don't know what they're doing in their heads, you know what I mean? And to think aloud and talk about what's going on. I really wish more of us would get back to that practice and not let kids, you know, they don't want to do it. I'm sorry, I don't want to get up every morning, but I have to, right? Muscle memory, and that's the only way they can commit those strategies and everything to memory, is that they practice every single day. And like you said, see themselves getting better with it. And they can't do that if they're not reading aloud, they're not practicing the strategies that you provide. So as far as student voice, do the children ever talk to one another as it relates to the text?
Yes, they do. I have a lot of peer discussion, collaboration happens in my classroom as well. So they get to hear from their peers about what they're doing. So recently we had presentations and they had to go up and present a topic that they had researched, and they gave feedback to each other. It was so exhilarating to watch, because even students who didn't usually speak in class, they were up presenting before the class, and that brought me a lot of joy.
Oh my gosh, I love when that happens.
Yes.
You know, the reluctant learners are choosing to stand up. If they're shy or, you know, timid or whatever, they get up and they present and they get that feedback, and they're so excited because they feel successful. So thank you for also making room for students to present and, you know, hone those skills as well, public speaking skills. And so when you talk about peer discussions, what would you say to those teachers who are like, yeah, but they may start talking, I hear this all the time, they may start talking about things that are not related to the content or the lesson. So how do you ward off situations where students are talking about information that they should not be talking about, but it's accountable talk?
Okay, so 2 words I'll say to a teacher like that. I'll say model and monitor. If you're monitoring what they're supposed to do, then when they are supposed to do it, they will do what you show them to do. And then once they are supposed to be talking, you're monitoring, aggressively monitoring, listening to the discussion, making notes, asking clarifying questions as well.
That's so good. We're not sitting behind the desk and saying, you should be talking about the, you know, this lesson. Kids are like adults, you know, and it's so funny to me, the adults who sit in like meetings and talk about, you know, extraneous things, those are the main ones who are like, they were talking about something they should not have been talking about during the discussion. You know what I mean? They're the ones worried about that. But I agree with you. When we model, and not only that, you know, we, like you said, we monitor. We inspect what we expect.
Right. I love
Guess
that.
what? The kids do what they're supposed to do. And the more, I would add also, when we commend those students who are doing what they're supposed to do, more children want to do what they're supposed to do, because everybody wants to hear their name called, right?
That's so true.
And I think I have evidence with that. When you look at social media, kids want to see their names.
Right.
They want to take the selfies. They, you know,
they want to be seen.
Yes,
they want to be seen.
That's right. So thank you for that. Is there anything that you would say to students and parents as it relates to learning, those children who have struggled for years, feel unsuccessful? What tips and inspiration could you give them?
Okay, sure. So I'll say 2 words. Though they're 2 words, they're loaded words. I'll say show up. And by showing up, I mean fail forward, try, ask questions, reach out for help. Do what you have to do so that you can do your best and become your best versions of yourselves.
Yes, show up anyway. You don't have to know all the answers. And parents, if you're those parents, you're like, well, I've never read that book that you're reading, so if they ask me something about that, I'm not going to know answers. The teachers are not going to quiz you on the
Right.
Okay. They just want you to show up, show support. The best thing you can do is encourage your child. You know, a lot of times kids are getting negative messages, not just from other students, but even in the home. If we can just make that an environment where it's positive, it's challenging them to do their best. Now, of course, I'm a parent. It's not going to always be, you know, peaches and cream, but you want more positive than negative. So if you can show up in that way with even encouraging your child, that's very helpful to a teacher.
Because can I just add
absolutely.
something? I'll add this as well. As a teacher, while I love and adore all my students, I call them my babies. Yes. But those students whose parents are involved, I look out for them. I go the extra mile for those students because I know mommy and daddy care. They're going to reach out. They're going to follow up. So showing interest in your children, the teachers will show interest, even more interest in them as well.
That's right. That's exactly right. I agree with you. Like she said, the teachers are going to take care of the children, but if there's a parent who's coming, they're texting, they're calling, they're coming, you know, to the school, they're sending their notes, whatever it is, if they're showing up, guess what? You're going to pay more attention, and that's human nature. That's only fair. You know what I mean? That's very fair. So show up, parents and students, show up. How do you want students to show up?
I want my students to show up by trying. Like I said earlier, fail forward. You may not get it right the first time, but you trying is what matters to me the most.
Yes, we have a saying with Impact Educators, be willing to fail and try again. Fail and try again. I said it today when we were training a staff, you know, encourage the children to fail. And just try it again. It's okay. You know?
Failure is fine.
That's right. That's the way we perfect our skills. Right. Any skill. It's like a baby trying to walk. You know, they don't just get up and walk the first time. You know, there are some, of course, but very few and far between. And so we really want them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, you know, figuratively, as parents say. But the only way they can do that is that they practice the skill of failing, trying again, and perfecting their craft. So,
that's right.
Yes. So as far as the difference in education in Jamaica and then in America, what is the biggest difference that you've noticed?
The biggest difference that I've noticed, in the U.S., we have more technological resources. In Jamaica, we don't necessarily have all the resources that we would want to have as teachers in the classroom. But I will say, though, my Jamaican experience, the students were more eager to learn and participate. I have found that I've taught more reluctant students who are reluctant to learn and share here. But I can understand that I've been working in an underserved community. So that's the vast difference that I've noticed.
Yes, yes, I've heard that also. And having had experience with ESOL, English to speakers of other languages, I've noticed the same. You know, the less access students had to technology for whatever reason. And as you can see, I'm not against technology. Right. I love technology. My grandchildren participate in technology, but we also believe that there must be a human person interacting with that child, right? So they can continue to show interest and to be eager to learn. Right. And the other thing I've noticed is that we have people say sometimes, oh, they need to just have fun. What I notice is that children enjoy learning when we allow them to learn. That's what they want. You know what I mean? It's not like we're forcing it down their throats. Same in your situation with students. It's not that you're forcing it down their throats. They want to do the work.
They want to.
They want to, because you've built those relationships. You're challenging them. You're providing a positive environment, and you're allowing them to have a voice.
Right.
What words do you have when you think about colleague-to-colleague relationships? How do you build relationships with, or advise building relationships with your colleagues?
Okay. So I get to know them as well. I try to remain professional at all times. I have developed relationships outside of work with some of my colleagues, but I'm always professional. and I keep the goals of the students and the students' well-being at the forefront of everything that I do, and that filters into the relationship that I have with my colleagues.
That's awesome. Yes, having fun with your colleagues, and making sure that the students are at the forefront. Right. That's key. So is there any last word you'd like to share with our listening audience?
Sure. I will say this is not just for teachers, but everybody. Lead your life with love and consistency. Learning will follow teachers, students, and listeners. But once it is that you're leading your life with love and consistency, you will become the absolute best versions of yourselves. And I'm a big proponent of growth.
I love that. Grow, grow, grow. 1% better every day. Right. Leading your life with love and consistency.
Right.
Oh, yes. We can always reach the goals there. So thank you so much for joining us today. It has been my pleasure to have you join me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I feel truly honored to be here.
You're very, very welcome anytime. And when you come back, come on over.
I will.
Yes. So thank you, listening audience. We appreciate you for joining us tonight. This has been a wonderful time, and I hope that you have gleaned from Miss Georgia Richards. Georgia in Georgia.
Georgia.